That one wasn't quite as dangerous.
Yeah, that we're live now. Hi.
I good to see you.
We didn't say anything questionable before the show happened.
I
That didn't happen at all.
I have never said a single questionable thing in my entire life.
Yeah. Hi, Lunar. It's been a minute since I've seen Lunar. Hello. How you doing?
Good to see you.
All right. Well, welcome to the YouTube side of things. I think we've been liking it a lot better.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lower latency. It's more a home that I'm familiar with, like that I actually fucking use. You know, it's I just the only thing I don't like about it is that I do keep having to go back and mute it now that I have the stream feed up. Oh god, I'm talking over myself as I'm trying to reveal the button. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, you need to be muting that tab immediately.
I don't know that you can mute individual tabs in Arc, can you?
You can. The only thing that's frustrating about it is it has to already be playing sound.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. I was literally like, because I have an extension on my, I think it's just called Better YouTube or whatever, and I love using it, but it's like, oh, it adds more things to that like lower bar. So I'm sure if I didn't have that extension, then it would have been easier to access. But yeah, so I had to like move shit around because it's there. Though, actually, in a as a fun utility there, as a little side note, um, you know how like if you're watching an ad on YouTube and you go into settings, you might know this, the speed change is not an option. But if you have an extension that like adds a function that's where you can easier change the speed, like because Better YouTube has that has like a little scroll thing at the bottom for it, that still works. So for an unskippable 30-second ad, I can blitz through it at 4 times speed, and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you started it with, when you're watching an ad, I've not watched an ad on YouTube since YouTube Red came out. It has been a completely obliterated part of my life, and completely for the better.
Yeah. Though, I mean, for anybody, any other ad watchers.
And Lunar says
Oh,
they're
you're
doing
going
okay.
skating, Lunar?
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Like roller or?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Boarding or roller or some other form of skating. Ice.
Yeah, because I've never been rollerblading. I have been, I think once I went roller skating in a nearby town. Yeah, yeah. It was at a classic place. So you're doing like, is it the classic like 2x2 skates? You know, like in fucking 80s places or? Yeah, ice skating I've done a lot more of, though I think the last time was at least 10 years ago. But like we used to make it a habit, especially because we do have an ice rink around here, because fucking Canada hockey,
Yo, my
But
average view duration right now is 420. Sorry, I needed to interject before that changed.
because then no one would have believed you. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, I used to go ice skating somewhat often. Definitely don't know how to do it anymore. I'm not really a fan of inlines, but can do them too. Just not any tricks. Are inlines the ones that are in a row? I assume so.
I've never done any like skating other than skateboarding, and that's been a long time ago. I probably could
I
not even
tore
do it at this
open.
point.
I tore open a sweater I really cared about when I was a kid, and I tried skateboarding. It
I thought
was
you were gonna say
someone
you
else's
tore open your
skateboard.
leg or something.
Jesus God.
That's just where I
Thankfully
thought
not.
you and skateboarding would have ended up.
Road rash at worst. I don't think I because
I
here's
feel
the
I
thing.
probably would have known. You would have said something about it.
Yeah. I'm also like, yes, I'm a klutz. I'm a fuck up. I acknowledge that, but I was also a lot more risk averse at the time, even more than I am now. And so it's like I would not have gone fast enough on it, or even tried to go fast enough on it to break anything. It would have just been road rash probably.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
welcome to the thought bubble. I skateboarded before. I'm
Oh,
not a fan, especially now with my game. Yeah, that would do it. Anyway, welcome to the thought bubble, the YouTube era. Um, so we've changed the format a little bit. Before, if you watched our show before, we kind of just freewheel it. We're doing whatever we end up making notes on and just kind of feel it out, not really knowing what we're doing. But since I can like properly title a stream now, and it's not just it's its own video here. I wanted to make the titles proper and kind of give you a sense of what we're doing here, yeah, especially while we're doing it live. And so we're kind of choosing our topics a little more before, and we're going to talk about specific things while still going off on our usual tangents. The first thing I want to talk about, which is probably going to be a fairly small topic, but I wanted to get out of the way first. Mouthwashing, the horror indie game that is maybe the best horror game I've ever played.
Oh wow.
It's only a couple of hours long. So I urge anybody who's into gaming in general, or just like good stories in general, especially ones surrounding horror and kind of darker elements, go play it. Don't read or hear anything about it. Just fucking go play it. It is amazing. I went in knowing nothing, and that is exactly how I think you should play it. For people who want a little bit more knowledge about what it is, it's
I
a
do have a
story.
question at least once. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll go on with your question.
Well, my question, because there's a lot of famous games that have like come out within the past few years, some like really good horror games. Like I'm not going to discount their quality, but of a certain kind of, I guess, subgenre I would call it, where it's horror that takes place in a setting that is ordinarily based around like that's ordinarily found in like childlike places of innocence, and like there's a high contrast there. And I'm wondering if this is one of those, because I mean, like, your mouth washing is it's brushing your teeth, and so it's like it stands a chance of being that in my head. But I wanted to know if it was one of those, because
It is not a
personally I
mascot
don't find them
horror.
as okay, not necessarily mascot, but yes, you're on the right track. But
Yeah,
yeah, I meant
it's
more
not a
general than
mascot
that.
horror. It is a much more real kind of story than any of those. To where
Mm,
it's not like, oh, you're in like a daycare or something. There is elements of that, but it is not necessarily the focus. It is more of a backdrop than anything.
mm,
Um, at the core of this game, it's a story about taking responsibility. It's a story about facing inevitabilities, um, and recognizing yourself as a person, whether that be good or bad. There is a line in it that like your darkest moments don't make you a monster, which I think they do a lot with that line. Um,
mm.
and not just finding excuses for these bad things. Very very good. It's more psychological horror. It's not like a Five Nights at Freddy's where you're getting jump scared. um
Mhm.
it is
Yeah,
much
it's a very good
more
line.
like well, just wait until you play the fucking game. It means a lot more than it initially seems like, honestly. um but there's just it's so much. I don't want to spoil too much. Please go play the game.
I want to say I think this is a
It's like
fantastic
$12 on
recommendation,
Steam.
but I want to point out that you said I don't want to say anything about it, so I'm gonna bring it to a podcast. I,
I don't want to
I
say too much
yeah,
about it. I want to say you should go play it. It is probably my game of the year,
yeah.
personally, because it hits every single beat that I would want out of a psychological horror. It is mouth-washing. It's the first name in our title.
I it's your game of the year?
It's amazing. It
Okay.
is one of the rare games where I leave it still thinking about it 2 days later.
Here is a non-spoilery other question that I have. Um is mouthwashing the kind of game where you think someone like me, who is not easily directed by common directing in video games, do you think I would still know what I'm doing generally, or do you think like for like do you think for someone who isn't experienced in gaming, this is a better thing to like watch a walkthrough of?
I think you should play it, and if you get stuck, look up an answer. I had to look up one thing in the game. I don't
Okay.
remember exactly what it was. I feel like I could have figured it out. Um, yeah, no, it's just I didn't explore the entire area, and for some reason my brain just wasn't going there. But if you, it's a very small area of the game you can walk around. So if you just go everywhere, you'll get through the game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm you say it's not super jump scary, and I trust you. I
I would
yeah, I
argue
generally
like only
yeah.
a couple of times is there anything that would qualify as a jump scare, and it I don't really think it's the same kind of thing as like FNAF.
You make
They
it
do
sound
it
like it's more
differently.
tasteful than just like,
Yeah.
as a
It's
sharp
not just them
experience.
shoving a scary face at you. It's not that.
Yeah. Yeah, because tasteful I can take. I will say, uh, there's a lot of genres that for me bounce well between movies and games. And like, action movies, action games, sure, hand in hand. Comedy movies, comedy games, etc. Um, I was gonna say animation, but all games have to be animated. But um, yeah, horror is
Not
a
all
tougher one because
games.
being what?
We do have full motion video games, but
That is
we that's a whole
absolutely true.
different tangent.
Yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is, yeah, horror is like a direct like interaction level. So gaming is a direct interaction level that makes horror, I think, genuinely a more difficult one. But again, I want to give this one a visit because if it's your top fucking game of the year, holy shit, I that's
Yeah.
especially if you don't want to say anything about it, like.
This is
I mean, we had
a
like 2 hours of Sonic lore on another episode, like what, once or twice ago. I
yeah.
and you don't want to say anything about this one? Yeah, I'm excited.
But before we go on, hi Pixel, thank you for popping in.
Good
Yeah,
chat,
no,
Pixel.
mouth washing. It's and I think maybe part of it has to do with some of the topics it goes over hit me a little harder than maybe some people would get hit by them.
Mm,
Um, but God, with the things that happen throughout the game that then get recontextualized later on, even um, this the storytelling's really good. It does if you're a person who can't really grasp a story that jumps between points in time of the story, you might not get a lot out of this game if you're going to struggle with that kind of narrative because it does bounce between one event. Some of the game takes place after, some of the game takes place before, and it jumps between those.
okay,
And
I
so
think
if
that's
you
fun.
struggle with a narrative that bounces between times like that, maybe it's not going to be something you're going to want to get into, at least not in a raw sense. Maybe if you want to look up a lore video, because I think the story is amazing and you should absolutely experience it. And if you can experience it through the game,
Yeah, I'm
$12 on Steam, go
excited.
fucking buy it.
Tis the season for horror, apparently. But yeah, no, this sounds incredible.
Yeah, I think that's all. Unless you have more questions, that's all I have to say about it right now.
Like, with how reserved you are about even like about giving voluntary information about the game, I'm like, ooh, I gotta budget my questions on it. I'm kind of just want to hedge my bets and try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
about it.
anyway,
You,
a topic you had for this episode was the Minecraft movie trailer.
they came out with another one. It might have been the morning before our previous episode, and it still doesn't look fantastic. But I want to give it some credit because it looks substantially better, at least better paced than the first trailer, to the point where it's like, oh, it actually seems like okay. The first trailer to me felt like they were taking a group fish out of water plot and kind of mad-libsing it with Minecraft and just throwing in a big CGI budget. Um, and this new trailer feels different. It feels like they're not. It's like not one to one in terms of its accuracy to the game, but it feels like there's more actual spirit of like how certain things function. I remember there was an Ender Pearl scene. It's more simple shit, but it's like I actually feel more like this would have felt more okay as the first trailer. This is only diminished by a shitty first trailer, and I wanted to give it some credit because, for good reason, the first one was pretty universally panned. But I also remember I felt about similar about the Transformers 1 trailer from before that came out. It just felt like some like fun, cute, like two-dimensional, not gonna remember it, but gonna have a fun time, probably more made for kids than anything. And then Transformers 1 ended up being an incredible movie that just the trailer did not fucking do justice to. And yeah, so I guess I just wanted to encourage people to give another look at the Minecraft movie. It might still suck, maybe it does, but maybe it will when it comes out. But yeah, I'm excited about it. Did you see any of them, or do you have thoughts?
So I wasn't gonna watch the trailer because I'm not gonna watch the movie, just period.
Okay.
But I wasn't gonna watch the trailer until I saw it in the show notes, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I have to watch it. So I have some things to say about it, and I do have some things to say about it.
Okay.
Um, Number one, I still don't like Jack Black. Um,
Yeah.
I don't like him, and I can't get over it. Number two, I think the world of Minecraft looks a little bit better than how it seemed in the first trailer.
Hmm.
Um, the thing that stood out to me was using redstone to drop the lava on the live chicken to cook it, which is like, yeah, that's a thing that like people figured out you could do in the game. I think it's kind of fucked that they do that, like real people do that with what they believe to be a real fucking creature. Um
Yeah.
and that scene sticks out to me so fucking hard. Like, it's accurate to the game, completely fucked. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of ruining it even more for me.
I also didn't remember that part of the trailer. I'm starting to wonder if I was looking away at like that's something for that part because I'm like,
Why is
God, I'm
John
just
Wick so
really,
mad?
really. I shut the fuck up. I, but I no no because it's like there's stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, that happened, and then it's like this I 100% have no memory of happening. I believe you, of course, but I want to say another note on Jack Black. Um, it like in the movie he feels like a similar casting to, of course I'm going to do another Marvel comparison, but with Quantum Mania, with whatever other problems he had with that movie, whatever, um one of my bigger problems with it was how unseriously they took Modoc's character in terms of him just like him being almost entirely a joke character, when he is like, yeah, like he's a funny, cartoony, kind of like exaggerated villain, but he's got some kind of substance to him, and they kind of sucked most of it out of him for the movie for the sake of a joke. And it kind of feels like they just wanted like a Jack Black character in there, and they're like, why don't we replace the most iconic character in this entire franchise with him, for the reason of this is a kid's game, and that'd be like really shocking and have a big contrast, but also it's like, oh, okay, great, another reason for people not to take this game seriously. Because if the most important character is played by the joke casting, what are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I just don't like him as like a person anymore, and so
Right.
it's it's been difficult to be like, oh yeah, no, I want to watch a thing with him in it. Um, he's probably gonna do fine it's a fine casting. I don't think it is necessarily. I think the biggest issue is that it's this weird eclectic ensemble cast of people not from the Minecraft world. I feel like telling a world inside of the Minecraft, or telling a story inside of the Minecraft world, um, is a much better idea than isekaiing them into Minecraft.
I keep
But I
getting
guess
the
this is the
isekai memes.
easier, falling into a different world, um,
Yeah.
like from normal world to weird world. Um, I get like narratively, I guess that's a little easier. It sets up the teaching of what this world is a lot more simply, but I feel like it would have been much better just to take the lore that they've kind of built within Minecraft itself and actually tell a narrative with that instead of us kind of finding the pieces behind.
Yeah. I don't have much more to say about it. I just wanted an updated take because that trailer fascinated me.
But here's a much better trailer. So Sonic 3 got a new trailer. Let's
Good.
fucking go.
Yeah. I I want to say, okay, the Sonic 3 trailer, I think it looks fucking awesome. I have only one criticism before we go further into it, though. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I love Keanu Reeves, and I think from what I know of the Shadow character, he sound like it seems like a great casting. I'm never gonna say no to that. Um, but like it feels like with most of his lines, I'm like there had to be a better take than that. It's like I feel like him being a really good enthusiastic actor, they picked like a pretty good line that I think one or two takes later there was probably a more motivated line in it, because like he sounded like the right level of enthusiasm. I'm just like, that's the tone that you talk about how as a dark and brooding character how you're annoyed by Sonic with. I don't think it was like far off the mark. It's just I'm like there was some editor that I think slightly missed the mark there, only slightly, but for the
So
rest of it I
what?
can't wait to see him piss on the moon.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
first of all, we got to see it. He pissed on the moon.
he
Anyway,
pissed on the moon.
he did piss on the moon. Um, no, what's really funny about Shadow specifically and his dialogue and how he sounds is he sounds very accurate
Oh,
to how
okay.
he is in the games. He's a very much more monotone kind of almost lost sounding of a character, like he doesn't even really know his motivations, which is true. He doesn't really understand his motivations because he misremembers shit. um I'm very interested, as much as like I wish they would have adapted it more accurately, because it seems like we're not going to get the space colony arc. We're going to get a lot of differences in this story, and I wish they adapted it more closely. I'd love to get more lore about what happened in the games, but seeing as though they've already strayed pretty far from the games, and while still making good movies, I actually this past week I finally watched Sonic 2 in preparation
You
for Sonic
only
3.
just
Good
this past
movie.
week watched
Yeah, I just
Sonic
never got
2?
around to it. You know I don't watch movies. Anyway.
Yeah, but you breathe Sonic. I'm like, there's got to be exceptions here.
Well, I
Yeah,
didn't like, as much as Sonic 1 was a good movie, it's not like the Sonic, you know? It's not like
sure.
the
It's just like
Sonic to be all end all. It fucking what's his tits? What's his name that
I
plays
don't
him?
play a lot of video games. I still played Spider-Man, and so like I yeah.
Well, like, okay, but Spider-Man was a really good game for Spider-Man.
Was this
While the
okay?
Sonic
I feel like
movie
we're gonna be
was
a hot take.
okay movie.
It was an
Um
okay movie.
Sonic 1 was an okay movie. I do not think it hit nearly as much as it could have. Um,
Okay.
Sonic 2 is a substantially better movie than Sonic 1, especially if you're a Sonic fan. So props to them. They're getting better, and hopefully Sonic 3 is going to just continue that. Hi, Mai.
Good
Um,
to see my.
but where was I going with that? Who the fuck plays Sonic? What's his goddamn name?
Oh, Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz. Yes, I
Yeah,
think good actor. He just sounds like Ben Schwartz. I kind of
yeah.
wish they got a Sonic voice actor to voice Sonic. Um, It's so surprising to me that they got Ben Schwartz because I feel like he's not even that big of a name. Am I wrong? Is he a big enough name
Yeah,
to replace
it's like
Sonic?
I think Ben Schwartz made more sense as a casting for the third for the first one, because they didn't know if it was gonna work out, and it's like, oh, worst case scenario, this is a movie that like people don't end up like super enjoying, but like, oh, it's gonna be fun for kids. Let's throw just like a comedian that could even vaguely resemble the tone of the character that we're going for. Let's throw a comedian that we know is fun to work with at the project, and then if people don't like it, it's still a fun movie for kids with a comedian voicing the main character. I think it
Yeah.
made sense for the first one. It's just the only problem with that like safety pull is that now you're kind of stuck with him for the rest of the franchise, unless like I guess unless he wants to back out, because it'd be kind of a dick move. This guy who, you know, helped make these movies so much money, um
No, I
it's
feel like
been
it would have
yeah,
been really
yeah.
graceful for them to age Sonic up after Sonic 1. Because he's like very clearly in the kid camp instead of like teenager camp, where he's like normally like teenager to young adult. In most of the actual media now. But like Sonic 1, he's definitely like you know, 10-ish. So if they aged him up a few years to be more in the teen camp, then I think they could have gotten an actual Sonic voice actor to come in and be Sonic properly. Had to Google Jack Black controversy because I don't keep up or really care about
Yeah, it kind of
celebrities.
flew
Yeah.
by the radar. Yeah. Um,
Um, but not to
yeah.
go back to all of that. Um, but I think the Sonic movies, while they're good, they also miss some of what Sonic is all about, and I feel like they're going to get to what Sonic is a little too late in this franchise. Um, because so watching Sonic 2 is just like, oh yeah, no, that doesn't even really sound like the character that I know and love. Um, he's not completely off. It is still Sonic. But I wish there was a bit more confidence in him, a little bit more of like, hey, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna work out because I'm gonna make it work out, whatever happens. And that
I'm
just isn't.
curious.
He's a little bit more self-doubt-y in the
Right.
movies.
The only problem that I have with putting in an existing Sonic voice actor for the movie adaptation is like when I tend to think about when video game characters are adapted for a movie or show, um, and I think this is different from like the like 80s and 90s, because of course there was a Sonic TV show, that was like in terms of if it was closer to a video game narrative versus closer to a movie narrative, I'd say it's probably safe to say closer to movie on a technical basis. Um, I think that video game voice actors doing their video game voices in a movie setting, it doesn't seem in my head like it would sustain as well. I'm not saying the actor themselves couldn't, but if you want them to do their Sonic voice, I think that it applies better to a video game atmosphere than if you were to put that on a movie you're not directly interacting with and is stretched over um, that runtime. I could be fully wrong, but
I
because it's
feel
like
like you
there
are
are
fully
different
wrong.
there I because I think there's fundamentally different techniques that go into either venue, and I don't think they would necessarily work in the same kind of vein, especially because this might go into how we might have different tastes in movies in the first place. um I don't know it well, because the point I was gonna say, okay, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that just sounds like I don't want any fun, because that's not it. But with the always on 100% enthusiasm of a video game character, as far as I've seen
Say
them.
that is
And
like that's the fact. It's not the fact. That is not
it's not the
how
fact.
Sonic always is.
Okay, then I'm wrong.
That's not how most video game characters are. Like, I can understand why you only see those like big moments of Sonic, but especially in Sonic Frontiers, the newest game, he is a lot more slowed down of a personality for a lot of that game. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'd say back in the 2000s, video game characters were a lot like that, but recently not so much.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I think here's where the misunderstanding lies. That's my reference point that I thought you were trying to take like to go from. Like games that you experienced in the early 2000s.
They've had a pretty consistent cast since like the 2000s.
So did
Um,
you
and
did you
even
want them to
then,
do the 2000s voice or
the range of these characters over this time is amazing. And I think they should absolutely get those actors because those actors are really fucking good, especially at these characters.
I'd love
Who
to
is
see
the
him give it a
current
shot.
one? I can never remember the names. Current Sonic voice actor.
Yeah, I am much worse with video game voice actor names.
Roger Craig Smith. One, an amazing voice actor just in general, and two, of Sonic especially. And he has the
We love
range
you, Roger
behind
Craig
it.
Smith.
Let me see if I can find other roles that he has done. Yes, I know he did Sonic. That is why we are here. Apparently, Batman Arkham Shadow, which I don't really know this game very well. Apparently, it came out this year.
It's
He was
apparently quite good.
Batman.
Yeah. He was Batman.
He was Batman.
That's really
Let's see.
funny.
Apparently in Batman Caped Crusader, he was Jim Corrigan. Hitman, Onomatopoeia Henchman. I don't know. Apparently that guy gets a fucking credit. Let's see what else has he done.
Wait, so okay,
He's
I'm
done a
gonna
lot of
ask you
just
because you
did a
would
lot
know
of
this better than I
trolls.
would. Did they do the thing with the earlier Sonic game? Well, I say earlier is like an emphasis on the but on the earlier Sonic games like 2000s and prior, did they do a thing where like, oh, the guy that they cast as Sonic himself is also cast as like 4 dozen different other characters in it, and so that included Shadow?
I think one of the Sonic actors also played Shadow. Shadow voice actors. I don't know if it's
Because
the same dude right now.
if it's the same actor, then like that makes sense. It just makes sense in like a consistency thing because because the voice that I've heard from the voice that I've heard from him is Batman with that game. I'm like, oh yeah, you could just fully use this as Shadow, as far as I know, Shadow.
So the current English voice actor for Shadow is Kirk Thornton. But a previous Sonic did voice Shadow, and that was Jason Griffith. I think he does an amazing job as well.
I want
But
all of
even
them to get a really lengthy cameo in this movie.
that'd be fucking great.
That'd be awesome.
Wait, let me go back to where is Roger Craig? So apparently Roger Craig Smith played Keanu Reeves in Inside Job.
Sorry, in what?
Inside Job,
Oh,
the Netflix show.
An inside job. I thought you said inside job.
No,
Okay,
no,
I
no.
got confused. Wait,
He
so
also apparently
Keanu
played
Reeves
Johnny
is a
Depp
character in Side Job? Wait,
in
Inside Job?
Inside Job. Yes.
Yeah. I just didn't know that was a thing. Okay. I never looked into that show. But yeah, like
Apparently,
you say that
he's played Captain America in Marvel Future Avengers TV show.
that's fun. But you say that they're hitting on certain parts of Sonic lore later than you would have wanted them to.
Well, it's to
But
get Sonic to the character
yeah,
that I know and love, and that I think is maybe the best version of him. Because they've stuck 2 entire movies on this kind of insecure, unsure of himself form of Sonic.
oh, I
I
see.
like a very full of himself, arrogant Sonic that still gets the job done. Like, he's completely arrogant. He makes these fucking mistakes, but he gets the job done. He does it, and he's just amazing at it. And even through hardships, he's like, look, I know that everything fucking sucks right now, but we're gonna get through it because we always get through it. Because I'm fucking Sonic. And to have 2 movies of an unsure of himself Sonic is kind of sucks if that's not the version of the character you like.
I I think I found out where like you got your initial self-confidence from, just generally speaking. But I don't think it's not 1-to-1. I'm just saying there's a few lining up wires here. But oh, what was I gonna say? It was related to that. Oh yeah. If there's one saving grace, it's that, especially by the nature of the genre that this movie is in and the target audience that it seems to have, I kind of doubt they're going to limit it to just 3 movies. So if he does get to a point where it's like he matches at least closer to what you want, I feel like there might be room for one past 3. However, you elsewise feel about more than 3 of these kinds of movies, because I could easily see this, being like churned through like 5 or 7 movies. I don't know if it's a franchise that suits it, but if it does, then it does.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for more stories within the Sonic movie franchise, but I don't know. I feel like I wish it was different. I wish it was more Sonic, less people. I think they're doing a good job with what they have now, but I wish it was
Actually,
a bit different. I wonder
yeah.
if they're going to bring Black Doom into the history of Shadow in the movies, or if Shadow is just going to be just a hedgehog.
I actually have a reasonable amount of faith that you might find a Sonic movie within the next forever that focuses enough on the Sonic world and not too much on the humans, especially because referencing back to the Transformers franchise, they finally learned after 90 movies that you don't have to focus so much on the humans. You can actually trust audiences to like invest in stories that don't have a grounding human character. You can ground stories in other ways, like how the thing that you're going off of the franchise from did it. Like they finally like, oh, these people that like these cute cartoon characters in video games, they're also gonna see that world and take it seriously in a movie. Gosh golly gee Williams. But yeah, so it's because Transformers 1 gave me a lot of hope for stories like that, and I want to see that with Sonic.
Yeah. Also, while I was just like mindlessly scrolling Roger Craig Smith's voice acting history, apparently he was Batman in Arkham Origins as well.
Oh, okay, so they let
also,
him,
he's been like Captain America in fucking everything that isn't like a super big production for like ever, apparently.
Oh wow. Yeah, the only thing outside that I've seen like a Steve Rogers Captain America outside of the MCU recently that I can remember is X-Men 97, where he basically had a cameo appearance. Maybe that was him.
Very much it could have been.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
almost
it definitely didn't sound like Chris Evans.
In every Lego game, he is Captain America.
How the fuck did I forget my favorite game franchise, Lego Marvel Superhero? I just haven't played it in a while. It's like, it's not... Ooh, this might be a hot take. I think I found more replayability in it as a kid, even though I do still enjoy when I find a fresh Lego game. But it's like in terms of going back to it, that's a more thing for kids for me, in my eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked his performance there. I definitely remember that, despite having not remembered that.
I hope one day to be able to hear the actual voices and not Ben Schwartz of Sonic in the movies.
Yeah.
I just hate it because one, Ben Schwartz is an amazing actor. He does good. Um, every time I hear Sonic speak, I think of Leonardo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Rise of the TMNT, because he also played Leonardo, and it's
Oh
the same
yeah.
fucking voice. There is no
Something
difference.
something
In
tells
fact,
me that in
actually,
one
I
of these.
wish he played
Yeah.
Sonic more like he played Leonardo, because Leonardo is that like arrogant, kind of full of himself, just goes for it kind of character. Where Sonic, I mean, it's just how he's written in the new ones. It isn't the fault of Ben Schwartz. But Sonic is a lot more timid in these movies.
I Well, two things. Firstly, I think there's a decent chance that in one of these films there's going to be like a scene where like the group as a whole is into some like weird fucked situation to where like they're going through some like mutation or something, like they're going under the effect of a temporary weird thing, like in a fantasy movie it'd be like a potion effect or something. And then like, oh, their voice is gonna change to be, hey, their voice is from the and like
You
I
see,
think
what's really
something like
funny
that might
about that
happen.
though is Tails is
Yeah.
already voiced by the video game actor.
Oh, really?
Tails is the only one of the cast that is voiced by the video game actor.
That makes it so much weirder.
It is very
I
weird
Yeah.
to hear
I didn't
actual
even know
Tails
that.
and nobody else.
I I don't even know how to respond to that. That's just I
It's
don't know how
dumb.
to contemplate that. That's weird. That's
Like,
very
I'm
weird. But
glad that they got to be in the movie. I'm very happy for them.
yeah,
It is very fucking dumb that nobody else got to.
yeah. But
Especially now that we kind of like have a cast for Sonic. Like, they haven't really changed in a while.
but yeah, the way you describe the version of the Sonic character though that you would like better, I'm like, oh, I don't know that I would enjoy that as much, but I'm also not as versed in the general Sonic lore. So it's maybe like I've just seen examples that I wouldn't like as much of characters, that because I generally just arrogance in a character is something that I like in little doses, but it's not like
It's
as a
not
running
necessarily
theme.
arrogance, it's an
Okay.
overconfidence.
I think
It's
there's a
a
thin, blurry
he
line.
has to. It's not like he thinks he's better than them. He just knows he's really good.
All right.
He knows he can win. Um, and I think that's what's been missing from the movies is Sonic doesn't feel like he knows he can win. Or at least the
Yeah.
very few times he sounds like it, he immediately gets his shit kicked in and therefore loses it.
Yeah, it sounds like a. I mean, it sounds like it's a big part of the character, the way you talk about it.
I feel like when Sonic is losing, he should still feel like he's winning. I think that is a huge thing for Sonic, is he always has to feel like he can do it, that there is a way that he is going to do it. He doesn't even necessarily know it yet, but he's going to do it because he's Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. And especially when everybody else is doubting it, he's just like, look, we don't got to be scared. We don't got to be down about it. We'll figure it out along the way. And that is not necessarily something that the movies get right.
You can
I think
win the
another
battle, but you cannot win our dignity.
Yeah, another thing that I think Sonic misses in the movies is this sense of freedom. He is very much about freedom. And while he does display a little bit of that in the movies, he kind of goes out, does his own thing quite a few times. I don't think the message is hitting home as strong as it could be for the character. I think it's very weird. Like, Sonic doesn't really live anywhere usually. He's kind of just like around, and for him to have multiple places where he just kind of like lives is weird. Like, he stores his
Yeah.
stuff. That feels weird. Sonic has
He's
stuff.
not the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Um,
Turtles. Yeah.
yeah, it's very strange to me. Sonic needs to be almost kind of aloof in that kind of he is just going to go, and that is his thing. He goes.
Yeah. And I feel
Fast
like if I
even.
was I feel like if I was Sonic, exactly. I feel like if I was Sonic, I would just like I'd be going like, oh, if I gotta sleep, this time I'll do it in Paris, this time I'll do it in Guatemala, this time I'll do it in Mexico, day to day to day to day. And like, 'cause he can, it seems like he can with relative ease be essentially anywhere on the planet. And so like he can go and steal food if he needs to eat. He could go like you said, he just goes around. He could just be anywhere.
Yeah,
And
and in
you know,
Sonic 2, this is a big thing. I didn't like this scene, and it really irks me. When at the beginning of the movie, the two parental figures, I fucking forget their names because I don't care about them as characters. They go on vacation. And the moment they're gone, to me, what a Sonic should do is run and be free and go leave the house. But he stays and just parties in the house and like fucks up the house a little bit. What the fuck?
yeah.
One
That's
of
also yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I was gonna say it's also not consistent. I feel like with what they originally established for the character, because wasn't he like plucked out of like he was just in the Green Hill Zone doing his Sonic Freedom thing before he ended up in the James Marsden world? Like and so him just staying put, because like I could see if it's like, oh, that's all this version of the character knows. Maybe it's not the best decision, but maybe it'd at least be consistent. I just straight up don't think it's that consistent. It like
Yeah.
I could see if I had to make a reason for it, I would think, oh, maybe he finally found what it's like to call an individual place home, and he wants to take advantage of that. I still don't think it'd be to that extent, but
Yeah, also in the
sure.
first movie, he like lived in
Yeah.
a little hovel in the ground where he had all his shit. Like he has homes, which is I think weird for the character, but if you are going to give him homes, like he's already had a home. It's not a new thing for him. Um he should be constantly seeking out new things, relaxing in a tree somewhere or whatever, cuz that is a thing he fucking loves to do. He just loves relaxing on a beachfront or whatever. For all of its faults, the Sonic X anime kind of got this right, where he's just lounging everywhere. He's just chilling. And I think that is what Sonic's about.
I have a question for you just about the general Sonic character.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there an established distance to where Sonic is like, oh, that is a hassle to go that far? Or is it because I feel like the circumference of the Earth does not even remotely meet that kind of distance for him. He can pretty easily circumvent like 7 times and just barely break a sweat. And so, is there like a, damn, that trip took forever kind of threshold for him?
I don't think so. I've never the only thing he's ever been frustrated with in going somewhere is that he would have to take a plane because it's just like over water to get there.
He can't run on water?
Not all the time, not in every game.
So it changes game to game, or it changes based on the
Yeah,
scene?
so sometimes he'll be able to, sometimes not. A lot of times in after the boost era of games where boost was introduced as a mechanic, if you're boosting you can run on water, but you also can't boost forever. So I don't think he would be able to just run across the fucking ocean fully, which is also a thing that happens in the Sonic movie. He tries and fucking fails, which that's good. But yeah, no, I don't think distance isn't the issue. It's more so how are we going to get there? And in the movies also, so they have these fucking rings. And
You don't
I
like the
like
portal?
them. I like them as a lore mechanic. I like them conceptually. But when Sonic is like, "Oh, we need to get to the other side of the world into Siberia in this movie. We're just gonna use a portal instead of running there." What the fuck? Why? Fucking run there. You're Sonic the Hedgehog. Your thing is running. Please.
That's your whole thing. I
That's
want to
that's
see
the thing about you.
Barry Allen on the New York subway system. Let's get it.
One really
Let's go
fun
for it.
scene from Sonic Heroes in the very beginning cinematic. There's Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all running by beside each other, and like shit starts crumbling down around them. And to get out of it, Sonic just takes fucking Tails and Knuckles' hands and just fucking goes. He just runs. And if that was in the movie, he would have used a ring.
Yeah. I do have a general just like mechanics of the Sonic World question though for you.
Mm-hmm.
If he so let's say you can find a place on the earth where it like the entire line around the globe you can find like basically solid land or not a long enough distance of water to where it'd be any kind of trouble. And so Sonic could just keep running around this one line on the planet. Do you think that there's a point to where he could basically use that to turn the Earth into a slingshot to where, like, eventually his feet would be able to pick up and he'd just shoot through the atmosphere? Basically, as if, like, you're, like, let's say you put something inside a sock and you're swinging around the sock and you use that momentum to throw it, but your hand is the Earth, the thing in the sock is Sonic, and the momentum is him running around the Earth.
So, multiple issues with this question.
Okay.
One, physics don't work like that. Two,
Sorry, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
so well, no, so here's the issue physically with that is in your comparison to a ball and chain where you're swinging a ball around and then you let go to
Yeah.
throw it. The gravity doesn't just let go. So
Like,
that's kind of
what do you mean
like,
by that specifically? Because I don't know what you thought I was saying.
so if he's just picking up enough speed and then he just like fucking jumps or whatever, which that has its own complications.
Right.
Gravity is still acting on him once he leaves the ground. So like
Yeah,
if
but
gravity
like,
was enough to keep him on the surface while he's running, then he would just go in a straight line from the very beginning, from the first push.
I'm talking about like a threshold to where like, oh, he has picked up enough speed like that he can counteract the force of gravity down on him by essentially his velocity combined with the jump, at least in video game logic.
But yeah, in video game logic, he would just be able to fucking jump straight up. But, like
Okay.
if he's able to pick up enough speed by running to fling himself out of Earth's orbit, he would be able to do that from just a jump. Physically speaking. Because once he leaves the ground, he is not picking up any more momentum, so he'd have to do it in one burst.
I think
Unless he has rocket shoes.
I think I just want Sonic to be more of just like a cartoon. I think that's what I'm looking for here. Cause
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
probably happened
vital.
in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
That's a wacky ass show.
it's just
Probably did
it's,
happen.
it's just stylistically a really fun idea to think of Sonic. Just
I mean,
because the
he
thing,
in Sonic Colors,
yeah.
he outruns a black hole.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I think that's how that game ends.
Yeah, because like the reason that I said like the implied the Earth being basically no trouble for him, um, and him just like going whatever distance and eventually getting tired is that I thought, oh, he's limited to the Earth because of Earth's gravity. But I'm like, damn, if there is like a stylistic thing where he could woo, and just come off the Earth just by running fast enough, which of course, yes, you cannot do that in real life, then, I mean, theoretically, he could get just anywhere across the universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue would be him breathing at that point. He does need air. Very canonically, he needs air.
Ah, okay.
Because, as you know,
Hopefully
he
you can get
cannot
to another
swim.
planet fast enough. He can't, right. He
Yeah,
can't,
he can't swim.
I forgot he couldn't swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I agree the portals is a weird mechanic. It's fun. I don't think it fits Sonic quite as much. I think that would work better if I think the portals could have been introduced better if he needed to get to, like I said, another between dimensions. It makes sense. I was gonna say another planet, but they already do it between the Green Hill Zone and in the first place between the Green Hill Zone and Earth. And so if it was like, oh, off of Earth or off of the same planet that you're on right now, the same dimension or whatever, that's when you need the rings. But no, it's just like sometimes to get around, and I'm like basically
Yeah.
I'm saying this is why
This
I'm
is
on the
like
same page with
avoid
you.
paying plane fare is the
Yeah.
use of these rings. And it's like, what the fuck? Like it shows his carefree attitude, which is fair. It shows that he doesn't really think too much before just doing something that's fun. But he has just too much of a supply of them, which I guess is he kind of loses some. Maybe he doesn't need air. He's just weak to water. Yeah, maybe. Um, but he does a lose supply of it in like the avalanche that happens in the second movie, but I don't think they ever really address that. Like he just kind of loses them, and then like later on uses one more, and I don't know. It's a weird
He
circumstance.
keeps one under the doormat at home in case he ever needs to get home. It's very redundant.
But yeah, and now Tails. I mean, if they are, because I can't remember if they say they have any more rings. So if they are getting rid of the rings as an idea that Sonic has a bunch of them, now that Tails is there and Tails has a plane, it makes more sense now. They're getting kind of more towards a normal Sonic.
Yeah, I mean I'd love to see them ground a little bit more with that. Well, I was gonna say ground it, but we're asking him to run around the entire planet. But yeah, I want to see him closer to the games, especially because I want to see this iconic video game character properly represented in the medium that more familiarity with.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope Sonic 3 is good. It's probably going to be pretty good. Sonic 2 is pretty good. Um, liked it. So
It's on
anyway,
an
on to
upward trajectory.
our final topic, because we have been going for almost an hour now. Digital well-being. We're going back into this is a well-being podcast. Let's go. We don't just talk about Sonic for an hour. Um
We're gonna get the whitest podcast on the internet eventually.
so one thing I want to do that my favorite podcast also does, but just I wanted to do it anyway, separate of that. Um the digital well-being like function of your phone.
Yeah.
I think on iOS it's just called screen time. Um, Basically they do the same thing. They kind of give you statistics about how you've been using your phone, ways that maybe you could stop fucking going on TikTok so much, this kind of stuff. Um, I would think it's maybe interesting to at whatever interval we think is good, once a month, once every few months, whatever, um, go over our digital well-being statistics.
Okay.
Kind of put it out there, make ourselves maybe a little bit more accountable for what we're doing on our phones. Because I know, like I said last time, I was using TikTok a lot more, and I want to cut down on that as well. Cut down on a few different things on my phone. So, think it might be a good idea.
Yeah, my only thing is while I of course use a lot of technology on a very regular basis, and I would even go so far as to say you could call it an over reliance on technology. One part specifically that I've taken a lot of pride in is the fact that because most of what I get done technologically is at my computer. But if I step
Yeah,
away from my computer, um and I'm like out of the house, or if I'm even just around the house, and I'm just on my phone, like unless I was already talking to a specific person or group of people, or if you count music, like just playing music and maybe hopping to another playlist, it's like other than that I don't use it for all that many things. It's like if if there's a thing that I want to keep doing, but I'm like, I don't think I could super focus on it. I don't think you could keep my attention, but I want to keep doing it. I can't think of an example, but sometimes I'll play like an idle thing on my phone, but I'll put it away pretty quickly. Um, and then like when I'm going on YouTube Shorts, because I don't have TikTok installed, I used to much easier get into a habit of like for an hour or more just scrolling through shorts after shorts after shorts and just like getting surprised at how much time is melting away. I think I keep it down to about 10 shorts now, maybe 15, 20 depending on the time, but very rarely any more than that. Um and so I'd be as someone who still over relies on technology, I'd be fascinated to keep track of my mobile device digital well-being. But yeah, I think I would surprise myself with how okay that part is, because when I go out for like a walk or a run, like aside from the music I have on, I'm paying attention to the sounds and what's going on around me, and just like I'm just not pulling it out very much. Yeah.
I feel like maybe we could also track your desktop usage.
That's not necessary.
We don't need to do that.
What are we talking about? Personal growth? That's not who needs that. I,
I'm fine.
I can quit anytime I want. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there is a way to like see per app somewhere in the Windows settings. It's probably just in apps. Installed apps. Can I sort by usage? No. I have to figure that out.
I feel like I'm about to, like, as much as I just stood on the high horse mobile speaking, I feel like I'm about to get curb stomped with
oh, it's
the
in
PC
power and
well-being.
battery. That's where it would be.
Power and battery. Thank you for finding that, Ashley Abstract.
Wait, power and battery. So screen and sleep. No,
I see power and
no.
sleep
How
settings.
do I get there? Maybe this is an old. No, it says Windows 11. Settings, system, power and battery, battery usage. Let's see, battery.
Because I'm using Windows 10. I'm trying to.
You're using Windows 10. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna search for this actually.
Well, we'll figure it out between now and the next episode. Which I don't know if we're gonna want to go over anything on the next episode regarding it. Maybe wait a little longer, but
I think like maybe a few episodes. I think would be, because that'd be approaching a month. I don't think it needs to be a full month. But yeah, I will say, regardless, like I made a funny bit out of it, but I think regardless of the fact that it'd be much more severe at my computer, I think there is still something to be proud of though. If it's like you can step out and designate this area that you spend a significant amount of time in. It's like this is where you take a break, kind of like with Natalie Portman said it, and I'm sure it originated from somewhere else, but I don't know who. But if you basically, you don't need to like go full vegan, like for the people who are like, oh, being better for the environment. If every single person cuts out just like meat and dairy, etc., from just one meal a day that they normally would have, it's a massive impact. They say that kind of thing. I think the same applies for digital well-being. If you can designate when I'm going out and seeing the world, that is when I'm seeing the world. And I think it's a good checkpoint goal to have, is the point I'm trying to get at. I think even if we're at a point where we're overusing it, if we can be like, yes, we can designate this part while we're not ready to universally spread out the balance quite yet, and then we just eventually get there.
Yeah, and I want to get ahead of when we do check next time. My YouTube stats are going to be crazy because I just leave it on while I sleep. So we are not counting YouTube time. And I only use YouTube on my mobile device when I'm trying to sleep. So, or I'll watch like a video at lunchtime at work, but like that's adding 25 minutes to my 14 hours of sleep.
Yeah, yeah, like when I'm sleeping, we've been over this before, but like when I'm sleeping, if I'm putting on anything, I'm going on to Spotify and I'm putting on like I have a sound bath playlist, which by the way, for those who have trouble sleeping, like have some sort of insomnia, a lot of things didn't do the trick. This did. So if that works for you, then wonderful. Feels like an audio hug. I'm not gonna. The specific one I use is from. I don't think it's like a. I don't think this is like a thing where you need to get super specific with it, but if you want recommendations, I could just quickly find it. Um, the guy's name is just Sleeping Vibrations on Spotify. That's literally their name. So that's my recommendation. But yeah, I don't tend to put on like YouTube videos because they require too much like focus, and that just doesn't help me sleep. But I know my partner puts on YouTube videos to sleep, and that's kind of cute when that happens. But yeah, my YouTube
Put
watching is more during the
on
day.
I'll put on those like did you know gaming compilation videos that are like 4 hours long. And because I'm a very avid game trivia person, like I know it all mostly, so it's
Yeah.
not that interesting. So it's just like it becomes white noise.
How often do you find a Lone Pine Mall kind of fact? You're like, I know.
So many
Oh,
times. The
okay.
amount of times I'll watch like one of those videos and like Mario Sunshine will come on and it's like, yes, I know Serena Beach looks like a GameCube controller. We all know it looks like a GameCube controller. I get it.
I now, so okay. I actually want to ask you then, related to watching YouTube videos to go to sleep. Does it matter if the person is like too energetic and animated in their presentation? Do you just lower the volume, or is it like it has to be a specific kind of YouTuber? Because I can see like if you're watching like I think most cooking YouTubers generally have like a more on the soothing side of their voice. Binging with Babish is one. I think Mythical Chef Josh is bordering on it. He's a little high energy. I think he could qualify.
Yeah,
Adam
that
Ragusa, definitely.
Josh is a crazy pick for
I
a
I think
calming
he's the
presence.
the outer limits of like the very edge of what's too much. I think he could teeter totter depending on the person, but as a definite pick, Adam Ragusa is almost exclusively chill. He jokes, but it's all normal speaking tone.
See,
And he's
what
got a
I
nice
think
soothing
might
voice.
come across to you as a crazy pick is mythical chef Trevor. I think he's a perfect level of energy.
Really?
Yeah. I don't watch it much with him. I usually just watch Mythical Kitchen for Josh. But when
I guess I
Trevor's there,
kind of get it.
he's much more reserved than Josh is.
Maybe I'm just more used to the kind of weird energy that Josh has. Maybe it's just like it's just because that's like normal for my life. But yeah, because my brain thinks of Trevor as having so much more fucking energy, or at least it's more apparent.
He just has more nervous energy, I think.
Maybe that's it. I think yeah.
A lot of the time
Mythical,
that I see
yeah.
him in the videos, he's literally standing there doing nothing. It's
Mythical
really
Chef
funny.
Josh is the Sonic the Hedgehog equivalent on YouTube cooking, and that's the hill I'm gonna die on just for the fun of it. But yeah, so no, but outside of cooking, or if you want to include cooking, whatever, I just want to know generally, is there like a tone preference?
I mean, I can't have somebody who's like screaming. Obviously, that's too much. But
What's your
like,
threshold?
I'm trying to like think of one that I definitely wouldn't watch.
Like, is Linus Tech Tips too much?
I just think I would be too into the video to be able to sleep
Tone
at that
wise,
point. I think tone wise, it depends on the video, to be honest. There's some where he's absolutely ape shit.
that's true.
um it very much would depend on the video for Linus. Here, let
If
me
you want
pull up
nightmares, you
my
can watch the
fucking
news. I think Philly D's got a good voice.
I think I would. I shouldn't say that live on. Anyway,
Wha-
let's see.
Wow.
Um, I skipped the tutorial if you know who that is. Mainly does Minecraft top 10 lists now, which sucks because I loved his old content. Way too like energetic for me. He's much more the YouTuber kind of YouTuber. If you
Ugh.
think of, oh, what does a YouTuber sound like? He sounds like that. Um, I like his stuff. He's a fun presence. I like his old stuff way more because he's just top tens now, which sucks. Um, let me see. Like I wouldn't watch an Alpharad video to sleep. One, because they're too
Sure.
good and I would want to pay attention, and two, they're fairly high energy. But like I'd watch a Technology Connections. Wouldn't watch
Technology
Austin
Connections is an
Evans.
easy one. Yeah.
Um, I could watch a
Two that
Dr.
are
Mike if it wouldn't be fucky. Like I think my dreams would be fucked if I watched Dr. Mike for too long before bed.
that depends on the Dr. Mike video though, because like
Yeah,
with
but like if I'm going to bed,
yeah.
it's going to be a lot in a row, so I'm not necessarily having control over those videos. I will
But
choose
yeah, that
the
also
first
makes
one
it
and then it would just
worst
go.
case for him. Like, because that's a worst case for him though, because it's like you will also hear the ones where he's like, you know,
Yeah,
with
but like
his
that
frustrated.
his energy is fine for sleeping.
All right.
He's more calm. I probably couldn't
Who?
watch. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of modern Nerd Cubed anymore. Old Nerd Cubed, he was way too much to go to sleep to.
I saw a
I'm trying to
stream of
find
his, and I
any
think
more.
that could have worked fine.
Oh yeah, his streams are
Grand the
great.
Linus ones. Yeah, some are chill, and others he's all over the place. Two that I think if we were doing like a thought experiment, which I keep saying that as a term, even though we've never made it a consistent thing. But if we were like gonna do this thing where I had to like try it, two that I think would be reliable that I don't think I have mentioned, CGP Grey and
Well, yeah.
Captain
He just doesn't
Sparkles.
have enough content to
I-
fully go to sleep to.
If you're sleeping for 3 hours, then CGP Grey works.
No,
though,
see,
but,
CGP Grey
yeah.
is a great choice if he doesn't talk about really interesting things. Like I will,
Like I saw the airport one.
so much go back to his videos and just with my full attention watch them for like 5 times in a row. Well,
But
maybe
yeah.
not in a row, but like for the 5th time, I'm still watching as intently as the first time.
Captain Sparkles, the only problem would be that I feel like
That
I would
every other
need a
video of his is him faking that he's quitting.
No, so
That I can't watch Captain Sparkles because of that. Because like for 5 months in a row, I swear I would see the fucking like sad title, him just in front of his green screen looking sad, and he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna keep playing Minecraft. And it's like, well, what the fuck was any of this? Like, fuck off.
I don't know. But I think I'm only realizing now that I think I would have a sweet spot in terms of subject matter as well, because of course it can't be something I'm too invested in to where I'm like, this is going to keep me up, I want to think about it. But if it's something I don't care about at all, or don't care about enough, it's like I just want it to stop. Like I don't this is not soothing to me if it's like this person is going in depth on something I just give no shits about. And because I care about Minecraft in a very different way than I did back when I watched a lot of Minecraft content on YouTube. Yeah, like I think he's got a good voice, but it's like I don't know of anything he's done that isn't Minecraft related that I could watch, because he's done car stuff occasionally, but I also don't I care like a quarter as much about cars as I do as about the Minecraft shit. Like cooking is a thing that the reason I leapt to cooking is because that's a thing that I'm not extremely skilled in, but I am interested in it to the point where it takes the same spot in my head as when I'm watching a science video, though I think science videos would interest me too much. Like if you're talking about like Cleo Abram had a video on the Earth's core, you know, or some physics-based thing. If it's that, then it's like, oh, I am more like this is a more whimsically detached thing from my life that's still in the realm of this is our actual planet and reality. And so it's like that's something that entices me a lot more. But with cooking, it's like, oh, it's a thing I very well could be doing closer to this level of elaborate. I just don't, just because I don't prioritize that. But it's super fascinating to see someone else try it. And so that's like a perfect kind of gray area for me as a kind of person, very specifically. I guess I want to know if also genre-wise that's something, like if there's something that hits that mark for you, or if you don't even need to be that careful.
I mean, it's got to be something I generally give a shit about. Like if it's somebody talking about, let's just see, now I'm running out of things that I don't have some form of interest in. It probably doesn't help that I'm scrolling through my like YouTube subscriptions. Let me scroll through the main
Algorithm
page and see
catered
what
to
I
your
don't
interest,
give a shit
yeah.
about. And I'm see, now this is just all my subscriptions, but on my homepage instead. Yeah, this one about somebody on BBC Channel 4 shutting down email scammers. I couldn't give a shit. I wouldn't sleep to that because I don't give a shit about it.
It would just be
It would
annoying
just,
if you give too little of a shit. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, oh well, I'd rather, you know, put something on that I actually care about. But I think what I might try to do is, I just was scrolling through my subscriptions and Food in Japan. I don't know, maybe I would be too interested because I fucking love this channel. But he seems like he would be perfect for sleeping. I don't know, maybe I would just be too happy to sleep at that point because he's such a good fucking channel.
Oh yeah, in that same vein, Korean Dad is in the same vein as like something where um because like it's around the same level of this isn't too much nor is it too little, but I also want to focus on it more. It's like if it was, because he's a supportive awesome dude, like that's like nice and soft and loving, but also if I'm watching Korean Dad, I'm watching Korean Dad. Let's go for a ride. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things that happens when I go to sleep. So there's this channel, Zoom Zyke, who has been doing a series going over every little thing about the Mario Party games. And so those videos will be hours long. They go over every map, every kind of like tactic for all of the mini games, all of the items, every single thing you could want to know about those games, they go over. And I would watch them when they come out. And when I go to sleep, I never choose that video to watch to go to sleep to. I almost always wake up to it though. It's really funny.
That's fascinating. So, like, do you think you could time that? Like, you put that, like, if you wanted to wake up at a specific time, you time out your playlist so that that comes at a specific time?
And I wish it was that consistent. I'll be at any random moment in the video. Usually I actually end up waking up to my alarm. So I don't normally just like wake up just like naturally.
Yeah.
Or at
I
least I don't wake up when I'm supposed to get up naturally. Like I'll wake up in the middle of the night randomly, like 2, 3, 5 a.m. or whatever. But like when I actually get up is when like, oh, I'll notice that video's on or whatever. And just like, oh God, not another fucking video about Mario Party that I didn't want to watch.
yeah.
It's always there.
I've been recovering from pretty bad sleep. You know, I came from pretty bad sleep for a long time. But I
Every time I talk to you,
mercifully
you're recovering from bad sleep.
I've been getting pretty good sleep. No, but I
Look, when you start sleep
you have no
tracking, that's
idea.
when I'll believe it.
I, I don't have a smartwatch is the thing, but
Well,
isn't that how you track sleep?
I mean, you could just track like the time you go to bed and the time you like actually get up. You could like
Because
just
it could, like,
journal it.
that's true. I guess I could just like get a pen and paper for it because I'm like, I don't want to bring my phone to bed either. Yeah, I guess I could just get like a Sharpie and a sticky note system. But then I also have to like remember to do it in the morning. I guess I could. Anyway, um, I, but yeah, I mercifully, I'm not the kind of person who on a regular basis tends to wake up in the middle of the night. Like if I could be up in the middle of the night because I couldn't get to sleep in the first place. Um, but yeah, it's like I tend to sleep in one go most nights. There are exceptions, but they're rare. I have this thing. I don't know if this is common or not, and I know there's obviously got to be some logical explanation for it. But you're like you happen to wake up to a specific thing every single time. Um, if like people will be like if my sister, for instance, is awake for a good while before I am, she might be moving around the house and I might still be asleep and sleep just fine through that, you know, despite the noise that she might be making. Um, but if she comes to my door to knock on it and get my attention, it is really common, her or anyone else in my family, it is really common that like a good 10 to 15 seconds before like she gets to my door, um when she's like not already out of like a normal route, I will be awake at that point. So it's like it's almost as if like, oh, my brain knows she's about to do it. Obviously couldn't be, but it's like I wonder if that's something you've ever experienced.
Often wonder if things like that are either your brain recognizing a pattern, just waking you up a little bit earlier, or
Sure.
when that doesn't happen, you are awake for that 10 to 15 seconds where it then doesn't happen. But
But I
since it
don't
doesn't
remember that I
happen,
woke up.
your brain just deletes it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that would make sense. It's just a fun thing to think. Like, it's a fun thing to think about. Just my brain is clairvoyant and like that. Your attention's about to be got, so you wake up. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like thinking about that, but then I'm just like, yeah, no, it's probably just your brains are weird. We don't fucking know.
One
Brains are so
thing that
crazy.
it's like another thing I want to talk about on here, and we could go further into this some other time because we do have to like end it soon. But I people talk about okay because I just verged on the supernatural with like the topic I just brought up, and people talk about like rational scientific explanations for assumed supernatural things as if like something actually being real and scientific in our world that is so specific and so exaggerated that it could resemble a paranormal occurrence. That's not awesome to you. It's like they could just because there's special effects that can emulate, in movies, things that could never happen. And then there's just like, oh no, that just happens. And that feels supernatural and resembles things we know in that way that we might have made up in a story, you know, under other circumstances. But it's like, oh no, that just happens. And it's because of this naturally occurring phenomena. That's so cool. And I like exploring those.
Yeah, I feel like most people did die. Back, just had to refresh. Okay.
Okay. Well, it didn't work for me, but
Um
if it worked for the oh,
Leonard, if
okay,
you'd
so
like
now
to
it works for me.
send that study into the Discord, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
If you know where that study is, I'd like to see that.
But yeah,
Um
I wanted to add those real quick. I think I'm just in a lot of the wrong crowds of people when these topics come up though is the thing because I think most of the people who bring up supernatural topics want to validate it as the supernatural, but because anytime that I'm like, oh, it could be this, it could be this, it's most of the time I tend to find, oh, look at this fucking buzzkill. and I want to see your
Well, yeah, I
supernatural
mean,
sparkles. That's like that's what I'm saying.
if you're doing, if you're in a group of witches, I don't know
Ah,
how much of what I said actually made it to the air, but I was like, I've dated
sure.
too many witches to talk about this in depth. But if you're in a group of witches and you're like, well, no, that's not real. Well, you're talking to the wrong crowd. It's as real as it's ever
Yeah,
going
no,
to be
but
to them.
yeah,
If you're in a group of people who really love astrology, it doesn't matter that it's all bullshit. What matters is that they believe in it.
yeah,
And it's the same way. Like, you don't talk about atheism to Christians. It's you're not gonna get the
yeah.
reaction you want. Um, and that's fine as long as you know in your heart that all of the supernatural shit's bullshit. Anyway,
I
don't
guess
clip
yeah.
that.
I think my only problem is that I think I just don't. I guess I should just bring it up and see who and see like who of my already existing friends are like into that kind of shit. But like I think very specifically looking for, I mean, kind of like in a Buster sort of way, like, oh, figuring out the explanations that could lead to certain assumptions that you would think are, you know, beyond what we know from science, and prove the paranormal, things that could resemble that but aren't actually that, is like by itself a fun topic. And I guess like on a consistent basis I want to bring those into here, but I don't really tend to find them much anymore, but I like them. I like them a lot.
Yeah, for me, the supernatural is just a puzzle. It's a
Yeah,
mystery to figure out what's actually happening. Um, a lot of people do
yeah.
not treat it that way, and respect them. Um, but it's it can also very much be frustrating when you want to have that conversation with somebody who's that supernatural thinking kind of way, of just like, people I know are just like, oh no, I definitely saw a ghost, and like I can't just be like, no, you definitely didn't. You know, like, as much as I believe that as a core of my being, it's not necessarily a good thing for me to be like, no, you fucking didn't. There's no
Yeah.
way.
I will say, in terms of, because you brought up like talking about atheism with religious people, and it's like I come from a pretty devout agnostic perspective on a lot of things. The reason I specifically reference that is I'm like, most of the time in paranormal conversations I come to, well, I guess it technically could, because I guess maybe there's something we haven't discovered yet, and I do like to acknowledge that, but it's also not something to rely on, and that's why I sit in the same place as atheists generally. But yeah, it's like, I don't know what point I was trying to make with that. I think it's mostly just that I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't think definitely it wasn't that. But let's talk about anything else it could be without, a supernatural loving person feeling invalidated about it, because it's not necessary to feel invalidated about it.
Yeah.
It's just broadening more horizons. Lunar says, I think magic and rituals are good ways for inserting instructions into the subconscious, but I doubt it's anything. Um, and they were going to talk about the social aspect, and that's also very valuable. I think that's a lot of the reason that there's like certain like non-religious people that go to church, because it's a sense of community. It's a sense of like connecting over something. Like the birds aren't real people. Yeah.
But birds aren't real.
Shut the fuck up. Don't you
No,
goddamn
I
dare.
think the
Yeah.
biggest trap anybody who wants to like explain away supernatural beliefs other people have, of like, oh yeah, I saw a ghost, or like, oh yeah, this weird thing happened. Um the biggest trap you can fall into, that I think a lot of people do fall into, is thinking that people are like playing pretend with these beliefs. Just like, oh, if they think they saw a ghost, like, yes, sure, some people are like, haha, yeah, I saw a ghost, it's nice, it's fun to pretend and have this magic in my life that I know logically isn't real, but like pretending. And it's like, no, some of these people have genuinely held beliefs, and they need to be treated as such. Like with trying to convince a Christian of atheism, it is like, yeah, but it's their belief. Um, just if somebody's having a good time with something, that's fine. I think there are
Yeah.
certainly people who take it too far, and I do have problems with it. Crystal healers have a big problem with them. A lot of mediums have big problems with them, but otherwise, I think it's all mostly harmless.
Oh
It's my
yeah.
favorite book,
It's
mostly harmless.
right. it's it's not yeah, it's not that I want to like disprove it when I'm talking to people. I think I would have done that when I was a teenager probably. Maybe even earlier adulthood I would even say. Um but it's like you- if you include people who truly believe in paranormal topics and you also want to talk about scientific explanations, just one way to look at it is you're adding more possibility. Like, not everybody has to agree that it's paranormal, but it's also maybe I'm not going to shut down that it could be. It's just, it's like, oh, what if it was so cool to be like something else emulating that and just so happening to look like that? That's almost weirder. That's it. It's like when something's stranger than fiction, you know?
Yeah, Lunar says
Lunar
to me, when I
says,
was a kid, I really
yeah.
believed I saw ghosts. This conversation is completely different if you're talking to kids.
Oh,
My
yes.
belief is you need to be telling the kids the reality, um, that whatever your belief of reality is, my belief is going to be who, if I ever do have a child, if my partner's, a mystic or whatever, I'm not necessarily going to teach that to my kid. Um,
I think it
I,
depends
I
on the
won't
case
stop them from
of
stopping,
kids.
but I will absolutely be like, okay, but it's like they say this. I think it's all bullshit, kid.
It's like, I
Whereas
think
I
it
think
really
if there's
depends on,
anything that my partner would
yeah.
teach my kid that I would not want them to know, I feel like I didn't make a great choice in partner. At that point, I
Right.
probably just wouldn't have a kid with that person. I would not be in a relationship with a person who holds a belief that I think, if taught to a kid, would be detrimental.
Yeah. Because there's certain beliefs that you can like let a kid just have. I think that if it's mostly just, oh, it's keeping some whimsy and imagination in their life. But I think, yeah, it's like there are ones that can definitely manifest in harmful ways, quite common ones. We don't need to name too many of them. Though in terms of like, let's say kid believes in Santa. I'm gonna let them figure out that it's not real, even if that's my kid. I'm sorry. I'm keeping that alive. But if it's, yeah, but like if the kid, I don't know, picked up from their friend's parent flat earth theory, I'm shutting that shit down. I am pummeling that one. Not the kid, but the idea. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I've had back and forth on the beliefs of if I would tell my kid about Santa, um, and whether or not that it is real, the entire concept. I feel like I would not tell them that it's real. I'd be like, we all play pretend about it.
I'm not sure I would tell the kid that like that Santa is real, but like if they found out about the concept of Santa and then was convinced of Santa, I'd be like, well, I didn't have to do it, and I don't want to kill it. It's like that's the perfect circumstance for me. Like if they never believe it, they always see Santa as just a fictional character, just like any other fictional character. Then fine, I'm not gonna like try and convince them that Santa is real. But if it happens, like that kid could end up being 14 and still believing in Santa all those years later, and I'm like, you, we'll talk about Fallout if it happens, but I like that. That's my thing with a
Well, if
kid.
if my kid's making it to fucking high school with the belief in Santa, I'd have to shut it down at some point. I'd have to be like, look,
Like,
kid,
I'll say
I have to believe you're
adult
smart enough to know at this point
I
that this isn't real.
it's like I feel like for me, the cutoff is just a little bit later, maybe like 17. Let's go with 17. This
Absolutely not. If my kid's 17 and believes in Santa, I have to imagine he's not getting good grades. Like, he's not
this
the
kid can
sharpest.
drive, can legally drive.
That's scary. I don't want somebody who could drive believing in Santa Claus.
I'm like, it feels like the wrong thing to let just happen, but it's also like I'm trying to figure out if I shouldn't like it, and I can't.
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
my kid is like this other person at school said they're not real and they are in high school or late middle school, I'd be like, look, kid, it's not
Yeah,
real.
if they're starting to, I will say this, I'm not gonna be like, what? Someone said Santa's not real. No, kid, you gotta like, I'm not reinforcing it. I'm just letting it happen if it does. If they're already challenging it, I'm like, well, let's think about this, and then eventually it's just gonna decay. But I
See,
don't
I
want.
think this is very close to lying by omission. And I don't want to lie to my kid like that.
It's like, I just think, because I think most people put the line for where you can lie to a kid at a different place. Some people say never. Some people say, "Oh, I do it all the time." I don't think you should do it all the time. But I
I think
think
you should only lie to them if it's funny.
I think lying by omission under circumstances so selective as these, I think has a case to make. But it's like, it's not that I don't even want to, wouldn't want to like confront information that might hurt them, to like that might make them feel bad to find out this new piece of information. I'll do that with other shit if they're like invested
Imagine
in
how
something.
bad they'd feel when all of their
Right.
friend group knows they believe in Santa at the ripe age of 17.
I don't think
That
this
is
one through.
much worse than the fallout of them being like, oh man, all of those presents, it was you guys. Aw.
That's why I'm saying it's not about the emotional fallout. It's also not about fucking with the kid. I make it sound like it's about. It's just there's a specific kind of whimsy with characters like Santa specifically that to me does not feel the same way as other. We'll loop it in with paranormal delusions.
The chat, you wanna know my favorite part about this conversation?
What is this? What is this?
You're Jewish. This is not even a problem for you.
I was wondering when that was gonna come up. Because when I was a kid, it was not a long period of time, because eventually I would talk with my parents about it and etc. And like they were very straight up about about how that just doesn't fucking work. I was a very small kid who like, you know, a few movies managed to convince me, and probably kids at school managed to convince me Santa's real. But also I there's a whole story that I actually want to save for the next episode involved in this. Now that we have these on record, I can tell this story again, but it's perfect for closer to the holiday season. Yeah.
Insanity here. Anyway, I think that's our show today.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. I'll just see you next week. It'll be back on Wednesday instead of Tuesday like this week. It's just the holidays got us all jumbled up.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks, for Americans.
I actually need to see something for next. Wait, there's no. Wait, hold up. Give me one moment. So Christmas is on a Wednesday this year.
Good grief. Oh my god.
So we're gonna do a Christmas Day episode. That's gonna be our present to all of you.
That's gonna be fun. I like that. Yeah.
That is amazing.
I like that.
And then
thought.
coincidentally, a New Year's episode, New Year's Day.
Holy shit, you're right. Good god. Wait, so January 1st?
Yes.
It's the perfect time for a New Year's resolution. No,
Oh wait, did I get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got it right. Yeah, January 1st. Yeah, our we'll have our new themes ready in tow.
Yeah.
Thank you
I'm
all for joining
excited.
again. If you want to follow us elsewhere, we're both on Blue Sky. If you need any links to it, mrsashley.gay. Everything should be on there. You can join the Discord, blah 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 blah. Bye.
Have a lovely time.